Hello, welcome prospective students. Today I want to explain to you about what is aerospace engineering, what are the opportunities for aerospace engineering in the future, and why you should choose aerospace engineering over any other engineering branch. Well, first of all, aerospace engineer is an engineer who can design, deploy, develop, test aircraft, spacecraft, satellites, and all aerospace related equipment. So everything you can think of that flies in the atmosphere or everything that flies outside of the atmosphere is technically within the purview of aerospace engineering. There are three main, how should I say, branches of aerospace engineering that you can specialize in. Obviously, the first one, aeronautics, deals with aircraft and anything that flies in the atmosphere. So this includes aircraft, jets, helicopters, airships, commercial jets, aviation technologies, UAVs, and basically any commercial or military aircraft that can fly in an atmospheric flight. Obviously, there will be a lot of sub-branches of these, but basically, this is what aeronautics is all about. Now, astronautics, on the other hand, is the exact opposite. Now, you talk about everything that flies outside of the atmosphere, including, but not limited to, spacecraft, rockets, satellites, space probes, re-entry vehicles, as well as space structures such as space bases similar to ISS, and many much more. And there's another third branch of aerospace engineering, which is called avionics. And avionics is basically dealing with electronics that deals with electronic systems of both aircraft and spacecraft. So for both aeronautics as well as for astronautics, avionics can be a sub-branch that supports them in terms of electronics and control systems. So naturally, to become an aerospace engineer, you would have to be well versed in mathematics, physics. At the very least, you should be very interested in these because unfortunately, you cannot become a good aerospace engineer if you're not strong in mathematics, if you're not strong in physics. Nevertheless, these are not just the only requirements. You would also need to have some affinity for coding because now modern aerospace calculations are so complex that you would need some sort of a coding skill so that you could yourself code for some of these solutions, you can yourself code for some of these simulations. So, what are the opportunities for an aerospace engineer once you graduate? Well, obviously, it's quite a vast field. As I said, you can work as there in any one of these three sub branches of aerospace engineering. Therefore, you can work as an aeronautical design engineer, flight engineer, maintenance engineer, aeronautical operations specialist. If you want to work in the field of aeronautics, obviously in the field of astronautics, you can design satellites, so you can be a satellite design engineer, you can be an avionics engineer, flight systems designer, rocket engineer, space systems designer, space mission planner. And of course, an aerospace engineer can also work in the defense sector to design missile systems, armed UAVs, radar systems, intercept systems. So, for example, the Patriot systems of NATO and S-400 of the Russian bloc are all intercept systems and defense systems. So, obviously, you have a lot of scope, a lot of things you can do because a good aerospace engineer is also a good mechanical engineer, is a good electronics engineer, is a good defense engineer. So, it's a combination of all of these. Therefore, because you get so much knowledge and information from various disciplines as an aerospace engineer, that gives you a lot of scope for doing a lot of things. And now, especially with the increase in the number of space companies in the private sector, this has also created a new boom. With space tourism now, we have commercial space flights that are done almost regularly to space. As you know, especially in 2021 and 2022, we had a large number of people, mostly billionaires and millionaires, but nevertheless, as people keep traveling to space, the cost of traveling per person will be much lesser. This is similar to the aviation boom of 1930s. Traveling from one location to another with an airplane was very expensive, but eventually, after many companies and aviation companies and airlines came up, flying has become much more easier. And now in the 21st century, basically you can fly to anywhere you want for less than $1,000. So similar for aerospace engineering, now that the aerospace sector is booming, the private sector is booming all across the world, not just in the United States and Canada, but in India, China, obviously Europe, and even in Africa. So therefore, wherever you may be in the world, this is the best time to become an aerospace engineer. There are a lot of prospects, but of course, like I said, you have to have an affinity for mathematics, physics, and coding, and you have to be ready to take on challenging projects. So if you feel ready, then why don't you become an aerospace engineer today? Feel free to drop me a line if you have any questions about these prospects. Thank you.